Game day. Game day. Game day. Game day. Game day.
Well, it's another edition of Game Day TV, everyone. Thank you for watching and welcome in. I'm Jerry Young along with Coach Max Howell. Coach, another big weekend in college football.
You know what? Each one of them get each weekend. I just can't wait. So, I got a little routine I go through.
Right.
I usually get around 11:30. I've already eaten a light lunch. I sit down in front of the TV. The next thing I know is midnight. I've gone through you see my stack of notes.
Yeah.
I sit there with a pen and pencil and I write down. A lot of this stuff I can commit to memory, but I can't do that, Jerry, if I don't see it and I don't write it. But I'm able to do it and regurgitate that right back to the camera.
Y'all notice we've got the hard hat on the table. Max is going to put that on in a few minutes. We're going to have a lot of demolition. Matter of fact, we're probably going to need to start bringing some tools, like a sledgehammer or something.
You know what? And I just wonder, each week there's some that'll go in and out of our evaluation. It's where there are demolition that we need to get rid of and change up the whole thing, or just polish a little bit. But there's 2 or 3 guys I don't think there's hope for under the current regime. But we'll talk about those as the show unfolds today.
Hey, I'm going to give you a high school report. It's going to be abbreviated today because we got our new segment coming on. It's Tips on Tailgating with our game day chef, Marty Staples. Many of you probably know who Marty is. He's just a fantastic world-known chef, and we're fortunate enough to have him. He's going to break down some things. And by the way, let me just do a disclaimer before we get there. I've never hosted a cooking show before, okay? And we were outside with flies and heat, and we recorded this now. So I just want to apologize to you up front, especially after we're coming off a reunion yesterday down in Tuscaloosa County. Linda and Sarah and all those folks can cook. Marty can cook. So y'all just get ready. We might talk about food all day.
Well, the other side of that is you got my design for a tailgate party, which I hosted on Saturday around lunch.
Right.
First day of hunting season. If you had to cook 25 squirrels at one time, call me. I'll show you how to do that.
Were they good, Max?
Absolutely, man.
All right, we're going to do that. And then Max, of course, is going to review the top games in the SEC coming up. Kim Sherrill is going to have your game day weather, so you'll know what to expect this Friday night and Saturday. And then we're going to keep on talking about some cooking, Max, because it's going to be, hey, Max, what's for supper? And did you give it away already?
Well, no, I was instructed by my biggest critic that by far do not talk about squirrel eating on what's for supper, because 99% of the people out there either don't like squirrel, had never eaten one, or the taste is a disdain to them. Well, so I won't do that to them.
We probably lost a few viewers trying to take I can just picture you holding that squirrel taking a bite. Hey, okay. Well, it's Game Day TV. We're going to get off into football, believe it or not. We'll take a break. We'll come back here for our opening segment. Thanks for watching. We'll be back in just a minute right here on Game Day TV.
Sundown 10 is the only company in Central Alabama authorized to sell Autobond's Hooper Optics nanotechnology window tint film. We are the best because we sell the best. With Hooper Optic, you get the first patented nano-ceramic window film with 3 times more infrared rejection. It's 25 times more durable than competing films and 13 degrees cooler. This cutting-edge technology provides remarkable performance and cool European styling, and you can only get it at Sundown 10 in Hoover. For the best window film installed by the best team, Sundown is the place to go.
The unexpected. The inevitable. The inconvenient. Life can be difficult. Make it a little easier. Alpha Insurance.
Thank you. I never in a million years thought that I would ever have to utilize a Ronald McDonald House. It meant the world that I was able to stay so close to her. And she was never alone. Thank you from the Chupkauskas family.
You can travel all over and you won't find another town with our name or our much to do, so much to see. It comes down to this, it's easy to see. There's just one in the world, positively. Tuscaloosa, the one and only.
Hey, welcome back into Game Day TV. It's been a lot of fun kicking this show off already, but I want to pause just a minute and tell you about one of our great sponsors here on Game Day TV. That's Central State Bank. Central State Bank has celebrating 100 years of honesty, loyalty. They offer everything from checking, loans, mortgages. They've got you covered. Offer a full variety of personal and business accounts and services to meet all of your banking needs. You can access them online and mobile banking. You can make a deposit with your phone using Apple Pay, or you can go and streamline your bills with Bill Pay. Don't like to do anything on the computer? No problem. They've got you covered there. Just walk into one of their many locations in Central Alabama, and they'll have personal bankers and loan officers standing by every step of the way. That's Central State Bank, your bank in Central Alabama. Okay, Max.
Yes, sir.
I don't even know. I'm almost afraid to listen to. Let me tell you this, though. I know you're going to start with Tennessee.
Yes.
Did you hear there was a tornado warning in Knoxville Saturday afternoon?
I thought I saw that flash across the screen
well,
while
it
I was
did.
watching.
And what the weather guy said up there, he said he wanted everybody to go to Neyland Stadium. That would be where it would be the safest.
Yes.
Because there was no chance of a touchdown in Neyland Stadium on Saturday.
Well, that's a great opening line, because I'm going to tell you something. You better put this camera over here, Philip, because I got some folks I need to talk to today about reconstruction and demolition. Butch Jones has found himself in I want to say, non-win situation. He's got an open week, but guys, the loss this weekend, first time they had lost that badly at home field since 1994. First time they'd been shut out at home since 1904. Now, contrary to some people's belief, I wasn't there at that ball game, but I read about it shortly thereafter. I mean, that's been a long time, guys. And let me tell you, you can think sometimes history doesn't play a part in some of these decisions. It really does. Coach Jones has found himself in a situation where the athletic director that's on board now did not hire him. Dave Hart hired him, the outgoing athletic director. The chancellor that's on board now was not the chancellor of the university when he was hired. So a lot of things have changed. The fan base, if you notice when the camera panned the stadium, there was about 102,000 there. It was full. It was rocking and rolling. You've been at the top of that stadium.
Right.
It sways with the wind. I mean, it's a lot of activity. Guys, by halftime, it wasn't 50,000 there. I mean, it was a disaster. And I don't know that Coach Jones can regroup, first of all, his staff, and then the players, and then the fan base in that order. He's got 2 weeks to get ready to do that. And, at the present time, going into that game, they were 3-1, and still there was an undercurrent of dissatisfaction of where University of Tennessee is. The expectations is extremely high there, and rightly should be. He's had 5 years. He's had 3 nationally ranked recruiting classes. There is enough talent there, but for some reason, the identity of that talent, the improvement of that talent on the practice field just hasn't come to fruition when it comes to playing on Saturday. So I think right now, Coach Jones and the University of Tennessee, and I use kind of almost the philosophy, and I wanted to start the show with this, and I kind of backed off, is the BB philosophy. What is that? Bye, Butch. It looks like, that may come about if something doesn't change. And I don't know whether it's all Coach Jones' fault, but guys, the sign that sits right here, and it has for years. The buck stops here.
That's right.
It has to stop there with the football program.
Well, and the same thing, people come to you and they say, hey, I got to go check on this because I got to check with them.
Yes.
Well, he is them.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's where it stops right there. Let me ask you, I heard you answer this question on a radio show. You walk into that locker room on Monday morning, okay, and you're sitting there with 100 players and coaches and staff.
Right.
It does end there. What do you say to them?
Well, you have to start by identifying where the problems are. You have to take I heard the greatest saying the other day, have known this all my career. But really for someone to get up and say, when you win, it's all about the players. When you lose, it's all about the coaching.
Right.
And you have to be able to be man enough to man that up. Gene Chizik said it on SEC Now late Saturday night. And look, Coach Chizik's been through that. You know that.
Absolutely.
He's been at the top and he's been at the bottom before he was dismissed.
He played golf with me one time. He's at the bottom.
So I understand from a guy like him, he's been there, done that. So you got to have a little reverence in your listening ear when somebody like that talks. So I think Coach Jones has found himself, and we're going to talk about a couple others I think on the verge of the same thing. But Coach Jones has been there 5 years. Not a lot of improvement. The expectations continues to remain high. They're 3-2 now, guys, and you look down. They got to go to Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
They got Georgia coming in. They've got some rough roads to hoe as far as settling the fan base down. Just remember, wins and losses are important, but meeting fan expectation almost equals that. If you lose against a strong opponent and play well, the fan base normally is a little forgiving. But guys, you go out there and get slaughtered 66-3 or 59-0, or there's not a whole lot of sympathy out there.
And I know we're going to talk about this. We got to move on. But you know, already 3 weeks from now, I believe it is, Alabama's already licking their chops.
Well, they are. You go back and look and see, and they got to go to Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, I know.
That's what's even. Now, they played well in Tuscaloosa before. Alabama won 2 or 3 years ago on a blocked field goal at the end by Mount Cody, the 400-pounder. Comes in there, and he got a penalty because he pulled his helmet off to celebrate.
That's
I mean, we can go into all kind of details, of what goes on, but the fact is Coach Jones is in a critical situation. I thought that game Saturday, and I said this last week's show, that was extremely critical in both Georgia's progression, the way Kirby Smart's moving that team, and Tennessee either holding its own, but surely not taking a step back. Guys, they leaped backwards after that game Saturday.
And we could do a whole show on just this segment, on just this topic with Tennessee, because there's more to get into. But let's move on now. Guy, I hate to even bring this up because, I like Ed Orgeron. Yeah. I think he's a perfect fit, but he's got to win. And right now, Max, they're giving up. LSU's
Jerry,
in trouble.
they've got the kind of the wrong administrative approach. I think Ed Orgeron has gone from one extreme to another. He found that middle ground when he was an interim coach at Southern Cal and at LSU because he won 5 or 6 games both times. But now that he has assumed that CEO position where he's assigning the offensive and defensive coordinators responsibility, they take the game film, they break it down, and I've just wondered how much communication he even has with those guys. It appears, and I know what he says in his press conference, that he's in full control, he understands everything, but you know what? I've not seen a correction on that sideline from him if he disagrees. So what does that tell you? The communication between he and the coordinators is not ending up in results on the football field. They lose to Troy this past week. Hey, take nothing away from Troy. And I believe you and I talked about that.
Yeah.
Brandon Silvers and Chum. And they got
Troy was better.
Absolutely. I talked to Neil Brown just 2 or 3 weeks ago. They got 5 NFL players on that roster. If you didn't see Chun run the ball, he's 250 pounds. He outrun everything LSU had as a running back. So, look, that wasn't a major upset. It was in the eyes of the nation to have basically a 1AA in their eyes, because they're small Division I, versus a big-time SEC power historically. But let me tell you, Troy went in there, and LSU didn't even score that latter part of the third quarter. It was 17-0, then 17-7, then 24-7. Then they caught up at 24-21 at the end of the ball game. But Troy outplayed them from the day one. They won both lines of scrimmage. And Neil Brown and his staff went down there to win that football game.
Well, they also, the last drive that LSU had, they made them earn it.
It
wasn't a big play.
No.
They did eliminate now they went down and ended up scoring the touchdown, but it ate up so much time off the clock. Even if they'd have got the ball back on the onside kick, it would have been a whole different world. I don't think they would have won anyway.
And they forced Etland, their starting quarterback, out, and they brought the freshman in, Brannon, and he's going to be a good player. I mean, he's a 5-star kid out of St. Sanders, I believe, down on the coast. But the fact is, he can play. But that was a bad situation to put him in. Coaches, this is the thing, and I will get away away from this in just a moment, but here's a way that coaches basically find themselves in sometimes. I don't say it's a panic, and it's not it's an internal panic. Hey, my number one guy's not getting it done. I'm going to change this just to see if the chemistry. So many times, Jerry, during the week, the number one guy's taking about 80% of the reps. The number two guy maybe gets 10 or 15%.
Right.
He's not ready to step in.
That's right.
You know, in particular if he's a freshman. So I don't disagree with the way they substitute, but if it doesn't prove out in a positive results, guys, you're going to be criticized out the kazoo, and that's what happened to Ed Ogeron right now.
Before we get off this LSU topic, since it was Troy, we did a little research, and we heard, and we can't find anything different to this, this is the first time that 3 Alabama universities have beaten 3 SEC teams.
Might be in the history and may not ever happen again.
That's right.
You know,
it's kind of like that equinox we did a few weeks ago.
Look, we're still out there watching that.
I'm telling you, I still got my sunglasses. How about you?
But anyway, that you know, hats off to Troy. They went down and did it. Was major for their program.
Right.
It expanded their recruiting from just a regional, statewide and regional base to a national base. And if there is a downside to that, Neil Brown has done so well there that Troy's going to have a hard time keeping him at that level. Neil Brown is a $2 million a year coach. I'm just telling you right now. I've been around him, watched his program. Nobody wants to hear that, and I understand. I'm not promoting that. I'm just saying the reality of the day's world with the economics like they are at that level, Neil Brown will have an option to stay. He may choose to stay at Troy, and I know that all the people around Troy really hope that he makes that decision.
All right, while you're swinging the sledgehammer, let's swing it at one more team. That's Ole Miss.
Oh, my goodness. I made the comment.
They
did. I made the comment 2 weeks ago that the worst thing that the university did for Matt Luke in that program was publicly sending a search committee out to replace the coach. That's the worst thing you can do at that time. Everybody understood that, Jerry, but it was not on record as public information. That had already come out. And if you watch the performance of Ole Miss, particularly the second half, if you watch the camera going to Matt Luke, not only was he dazed because of the performance or lack of it on the field by his team, but the fact is there were other things going on in his mind. He was looking at the camera, and it was like, guys, let's hurry up and get this game over. And the players played that way, and let's give Alabama a little credit for that. With 3:42 left on the clock, they were starting to take a knee. They'd already given Ole Miss all they needed. So, you know, that was a bitter rivalry. Ole Miss had beaten them twice in the last 3 years, and you know that all the circumstances around the Alabama program, the way it is headed, trying to win another national championship, and Ole Miss sliding in under the turmoil that we know that they're in right now.
Right.
Nothing was right for Ole Miss right there. Now here's the other side of that. You know where Ole Miss goes this week? To Auburn. Now, and Auburn is certainly on the upswing right now. They're going to meet the same type of offense that Alabama threw at them. Can they stop it? Can Auburn probably can't be as proficient as Alabama is right now. I think Petway's still hurt, but I think they're going to be ready. They're improving, and they know they got a chance to get a win. How will Ole Miss react to that?
Yeah, I think Petway had like 4 or 5 carries, hardly anything.
6 yards, I believe.
Yeah, it wasn't much, but you could tell he was hurt. Okay, we go from there now. Those are teams that need total demolition.
Yeah.
Let's move on to some teams that just need a little remodeling. We'll start Mississippi State.
Well, which Mississippi State team is going? You know, I really wanted to put them in this demolition.
I did too. That's why I hesitated.
2 weeks in a row, they go to Athens, they go to Auburn, and just get humiliated. And I want to say probably lack of imagination versus a really strong defense. They built that program around Nick Fitzgerald, the big quarterback. Done a remarkable job, but look. You know, Auburn held him to like 56 yards rushing, 160 throwing the ball, about 220 yards. It's all he had total offense. Auburn had over 500 with their offense, so their defense couldn't stop them. So, you know, which defense now? Mississippi State is off this week. They get a chance to regroup, get everybody healthy. Then they play BYU. We've already seen BYU, so they got a chance to get back on the winning track. But if you look down the road, there is a consistency forming in the pattern of their play on Saturday, and it's not a good one. They've been on the road twice. They play very well at home. You know, all of us as fans look at that, basically look at that win over LSU and thinking, wait a minute, Mississippi State's way up here.
Right.
Now The reality is coming back to us. LSU's not quite that good. So that I think
not even close.
that win has been diminished.
All right, we've got to go to break here in a minute, but let's get Florida in before we go. Florida. McElwain, you just don't. I don't even know.
Here's a program that wants to be on the turn and the rise.
Right.
But you know, they go back to Del Rio, and he's ready to do. And he what happens? He breaks a collarbone.
Right.
He's gone for the year. He had 3 surgeries. He's had 2 already on each shoulder. Now he's got a broken. He's out for the year. He's out. His eligibility's up, so he's gone. They got to go back to Philip Franks. Which LSU team travels to Gainesville this week? And which Florida team shows up? You know, I think Florida wins that one. I think right now they're a little bit more cohesive than LSU is, but you never know. Florida last year struggling like crazy. Oh, LSU rolling. They go to Baton Rouge and win that game. So I like Florida in that one.
We're going to talk about Arkansas and Texas A&M when we come back. We're going to finish talk about remodeling them, and then we got a couple of teams just need a little bit of touch-up, and then one added to the list now. 2 teams added to the list of great condition. We'll take a break. We'll come back, see what Max has to say about that right here on Game Day TV.
Home. It's where you take your time. Build the future. Make your memories. Celebrate. Come home. Alpha Insurance.
Sundown 10 is the only company in Central Alabama authorized to sell Autobond's Hooper Optics nanotechnology window tint film. We are the best because we sell the best. With Hooper Optic, you get the first patented nano ceramic window film with 3 times more infrared rejection. It's 25 times more durable than competing films and 13 degrees cooler. This cutting-edge technology provides remarkable performance and cool European styling, and you can only get it at Sundown 10 in Hoover. For the best window film installed by the best team, Sundown is the place to go.
You can travel all over and you won't find another town with our name or our frame of mind. So much to do, so much to see. It comes down to this, it's easy to see. There's just one in the world, positively. Tuscaloosa, the one and only.
Thank you.
I never, in a million years, thought that I would ever have to utilize a Ronald McDonald House. It meant the world that I was able to stay so close to her, and she was never alone. Thank you from the Chepkauskas family.
Okay, well, Max, here we go. Let's continue on now. Texas A&M and Arkansas still on the remodel list.
They really are. This past weekend, Texas A&M entertained South Carolina, and that was a struggle for them. I thought they would handle it pretty well. They didn't go ahead to the 4th quarter, but I still say that of all the coaches that we've talked about that it appears are having problems this year, internally or whatever, or living up to expectation, Kevin Summer's probably got the best opportunity to play himself out. They come away with a win. They ended up winning that ball game 24-17, I believe, but they get a win, and it's based on what 2 or 3 of the top leaders do on that team, but more so, they're getting more out of their young freshmen than LSU or some of the other programs. I don't know what's happened there, but we're going to find out this week, because guess what? Alabama goes to College Station. So, they've done extremely well up to now. So, for all you A&M fans out there, just, hold your breath and get through this game. Then you get back on the winning trail. I don't want to throw water on them, but all I can do is look at where each one of those programs are now. A&M is on the swing, I think. They still need some polishing, but I think they got a chance.
All right, and Arkansas, real quick. You said BB for bye Butch. I'm going to put BBB for bye Bielema if he doesn't turn it around.
You are absolutely right. There's much turmoil going on internally in Fayetteville Arkansas as it is in Knoxville, Tennessee, but for different reasons.
Right.
The Jeff Long situation, and we want to get into all that. We even got emails and texts this weekend about attendance, telling us it was 70,000 there, and it was probably 45 or 50, and it's just a conflict, everything that comes out. So you don't know. The other side of that is they beat New Mexico State handily, 42-24, I believe, this past weekend. They handled it. But let me tell you, they got to work. They got to go to South Carolina. Now, that's a long way from Fayetteville, Arkansas to Columbia, South Carolina, I'm going to tell you. Not only is it a long flight, but that can be a long 60 minutes on the field if Arkansas don't pick it up. They went back to their running game. I don't think that's going to be a salvation for Brett Bielema.
All right, a little bit of touch-up now. Kentucky and South Carolina, those two teams had a little better showing.
I thought A&M would run away with it, but they played A&M to the last quarter very, very well. Will Muschamp has got that team. They've had 2 or 3 major injuries to there, but you go back and look at the quarterback situation. He continues to improve week after week. I think at home, I think they beat Arkansas coming up, and I think that'll help Will Muschamp in the South Carolina program right now. Kentucky, they play Eastern Michigan. They get a 24-20 win out of that, and it was kind of like a no situation. But guys, look, they're 4-1 right now.
That was a W. That's what I was about to say. Doesn't matter who. It was a W.
And I think he's got them in the going in the right direction. Again, from what Mark Stoops has been able to do at Kentucky, they're putting quality players on the field, but it's hard to recruit there. And I kind of tongue-in-cheek will always say, if John Calipari's basketball team is ranked in the top 5, Mark Stoops don't have a lot to worry. Because I'm going to tell you, after October 1st, Keeneland Racetrack opens up. I've been there. The crowd will start off at 1 o'clock watching football. By halftime, they're sitting over at Keeneland watching the game on the infield track. I've been there, done that.
All right. Now, we have this little segment we call Great Condition, which means that everything's rolling. It's always been Alabama. The last 2 or 3 weeks we've had Alabama, and there's no doubt about it, Alabama stays there. But 2 teams you've put on that list, Auburn and Georgia, both of which, wow.
I think we've seen definite improvement, and I make it based just an apology. I thought Georgia would get there eventually, but not this quick. You and I've talked about this.
Right.
Kirby Smart's done a good job. 2 things: he's done an excellent job in recruiting in the 2 years he's been there, and then he brought good assistants. Mel Tucker was his best hire, I think, by bringing him in as a defensive coordinator, having played in the NFL, having coached with Coach Saban with Kirby at Alabama. So that team is coming together. I made a few mistakes. They're starting a freshman quarterback. I had even mentally anticipated maybe somewhat of a little conflict with Eason coming back. He's coming off a knee injury, was a starter last year, and Jake Fromm, who's a freshman. That's been alleviated. Kirby Smart made the hard decision, I think, and rightly so, by keeping the freshman on the field. Look, the guy managed every situation well. He ran for 2 touchdowns. He knows when to throw, when to run, when to lay it on the ground. He understands the ballgame as for a freshman. So I like Georgia's way. And Auburn now is finally living up to what we thought they had an opportunity to do. Even with Petway, I thought their starting running back up until now has been injured. He had a bad foot. He didn't. I think he had 5 carries for 6 yards or something this way. But Kerryon Johnson right now is their stud. He's a guy coming off a pulled hamstring.
And still a little gimpy.
He is, but they had enough to beat Mississippi State soundly. So I'm going to put Auburn right now. Auburn gets a challenge. They'll get a challenge week in and week out. They still got Georgia to play. They still got Alabama to play. So I think those 2 games will really determine what Gus Malzahn can do from here on.
All right, let's move right on in. We're already talking about Alabama. Now they go to Texas A&M. You mentioned that. Talk about that matchup with Alabama.
Well, it's going to be the same old, same old. A&M is, I think they're giving up 200 or 300 yards a ball game through the air. Well, what they'll do if Jalen Hurts can't throw it down, guess what they're going to do? They're going to put number 2 in there, not number 2 on the jersey, but number 2 on the roster, and he'll roll left and throw that thing down the field 50 yards. I know, but the running game will change the dimension. There's no doubt that with the offensive front at Alabama, the way they're improving, and the big running backs, the last touchdown against Ole Miss was scored by the number 7 running back. And he just stepped in and stepped around the end and walked in the end zone. Ole Miss didn't give him any, any kind of resistance. But and I think John Chavis and the A&M defense will do so. But the fact is you got to get to that point. You got to. The defense has got to play well enough to not allow Alabama to move up and down the field, and I just don't think Alabama comes away with a big win there.
Yeah, I do too. All right, you just touched on Ole Miss. They gave up last week, but now they get to go to Auburn. Auburn's going to be laying and waiting for them. Ole Miss has a tendency, though, to get up for a big game like this. So, you know, they couldn't this past week, but will they this week?
Jerry, that's a great point, and we don't know. I mean, I'm going to be truly honest, having been on that staff before and knowing a lot about the internal workings, I don't know that the coaches know. I really don't. In a circumstance like this, when you're an interim coach, they've already announced they're looking for a new head coach.
Right.
They got the NCAA restrictions will be coming down sometime in probably early December. After the Egg Bowl game. They don't know. Turmoil, they've already lost 2 or 3 decommitments off their recruiting list. They're down to like 4 or 5 is all they got. The whole program is in turmoil. Now, where he can gather them back, I mean, I know Matt Luke well enough to know what he'll do. He'll get them together. He says, guys, it's us against the world. He'll use that philosophy, and it's about true, tell you the truth. So, I don't know which team's going to show up. I just think the discrepancy between the talent level at Auburn and Ole Miss right now is just too much for Ole Miss to overcome.
Well, the thing that concerns me about Ole Miss, and you talked about the last play against Alabama, they literally, they didn't even want to get hit.
No, they didn't.
It's like, how do you get those kids now from that to be able to go to 85, 90,000 people at Jordan-Hare?
See, this is what happens in a program in disarray. And I said this from day one. We have a very good mutual friend in Arkansas that argued from day one that they were a 7 or 8 win team. And my concept was that talent, yes, I agree, but production on the field under the circumstance they have to go to every day. Every day they got to read on Facebook. They got to read in the newspaper. They got to hear it on the radio and TV. This team is falling apart. They have no future. They're going to change coach. All the negative stuff. Jerry, there are few coaches in America that can overcome the psychological edge that you have to win every Saturday. One of them is right here in the state of Alabama. We know that, and he's done it very effectively. But most of the others have to deal with that psychological edge day in and day out. Ole Miss has no – if they see a light at the end of the tunnel, it's a train coming this way. It is not something they're going out the other way with, I can promise you that.
All right. LSU travels down to Florida.
I'm just shaking my head because – LSU is in a circumstance similar to Ole Miss, but for the different reasons.
That's right.
They have no, there's no NCAA investigation. There's no, conflict other than the hire that they made is not living up to what the expectation was. They brought Ed Ogeron in. He's already proven as an interim coach that he could win in the SEC. Even though his track record at Ole Miss certainly didn't indicate that. But the fact is that while he was an interim at Southern Cal and LSU, he won. And he brings in some, I think, as good of assistant coaches on paper as America's had.
Right.
But, Jerry, the performance on the field, Troy beat them physically up front on the offense and the defensive line.
That's right.
What is that all about? How does Troy motivate their kids to play at that level and LSU demotivates theirs?
In LSU, in Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge at night. That is unheard of.
Was at one time the most feared place of all to be.
I've been there, done that, but I'm telling you, it is if you've never been there. So I'm just saying that's the conflict. Now, can they gather momentum? Can they use the upset win that Florida did in Baton Rouge to them last year? Can they use that as a motivating factor going to get? Florida's not the best football team in America by far.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you, look at their record. You think they're in the top 4 or 5. Now they lose another player. I think the security and really the maturity that they had at quarterback in Del Rio. Now, if they put the ball back in Felipe Franks, the redshirt freshman's hand. He's by far a talented athlete, 6'3", 220, can run and throw. But there's something, chemistry missing on that team. I don't know where it's the lack of a great wide receiver or running back or the defense just hadn't lived up to it, to the expectation, or what. I think Florida wins it, but I'm going to step right here. LSU comes to play, but it'll be ugly. I'm going to say it's going to be an ugly watch.
I agree. All right, team on the road now is Georgia. You'd think they got an easy game at Vandy. Vandy's known for playing hard. They can't seem to win it.
Yeah.
My thing with Vandy is they can't close the deal.
They don't have enough players.
Right, and that's always a problem. But
always,
you expect Georgia to run over them, but I look for Vandy to give Georgia a little bit of trouble.
I think Georgia will give the first half. I think Vandy will play hard, but Georgia's on a roll now. Kirby Smart's got an opportunity to win the East. He knows that, and play Alabama probably for the SEC championship. And I think if he can get to the playoff this year, of course, he's still got to play Florida. But if he can get to the playoff, for a second-year guy at Georgia, that's what they want. That's what the fan base wants. And if they lose to Alabama in the championship, I think still it'll be a kind of a downer, but you can see definite improvement in that program. That's all the Georgia fan wants, and they're getting it right now. I think they beat Vanderbilt this week in Nashville, mainly because the factor will be the fan base at Georgia will travel just like Alabama did. It'll be half the stadium will be full for Georgia, and Kirby Smart and them have a lot riding on this game. Vanderbilt will play hard the first half. They don't have enough players to finish.
And before we go to break, I want to touch on Arkansas at South Carolina. For some reason, to me, now Max, it's just me, it's like a train wreck, and I can't help but watch it, but I don't want to watch it. But
and you know what? I think more and more fans from Arkansas feel the same way.
Right.
I do think that there's still a glimmer of hope in South Carolina. My daughter has a season ticket holder there, and I mean she stays into it. They go to the games and they tailgate, and during the game when South Carolina plays, I'm watching games. I'm getting texts every 5 minutes. What about this, Dad? How's this happening? Going on? But so the fan base is still into it. They lost to Texas A&M this weekend. I look for them to beat Arkansas, and I think that, in turn, for Brett Bielema, will be another nail in his coffin.
Missouri travels to Kentucky as well, so that'll wrap up our SEC report. Let me tell you, though, before we go to break, about one of our great sponsors here in Alabama and Central Alabama, and that's Central State Bank. Central State Bank is celebrating 100 years of loyalty and 100 years of being in our community by offering great deals on checking, loans, mortgages. Whatever you need, they have you covered with a full variety of personal and business accounts to meet all your needs. You can bank with them online or mobilely, if mobilely is a word, but by mobile phone. And if you don't like that, of course, you can go in and see one of the personal bankers or loan officers at any of their locations in Central Alabama. That's Central State Bank, your bank in Central Alabama. Well, we're going to come back. We're going to talk a little bit about high school. I'm going to abbreviate that down because you don't want to miss our Tips on Tailgating segment coming up with Marty Staples. We'll be back in just a moment here on Game Day TV.
How do you show love? With the big things? The little things? The tough things. Your everything. Show them you care. Alpha Insurance.
Thank you.
I never in a million years thought that I would ever have to utilize a Ronald McDonald House. It meant the world that I was able to stay so close to her, and she was never alone. Thank you from the Chapkauskas family.
You can travel all over and you won't find another town with our name or our frame of mind. So much to do, so much to see. It comes down to this, it's easy to see. There's just one in the world, positively. Tuscaloosa, the one and only.
Sundown 10 is the only company in Central Alabama authorized to sell Autobond's Hooper Optics nanotechnology window tint film. We are the best because we sell the best. With Hooper Optic, you get the first patented nano-ceramic window film with 3 times more infrared rejection. It's 25 times more durable than competing films and 13 degrees cooler. This cutting-edge technology provides remarkable performance and cool European styling, and you can only get it at Sundown 10 in Hoover. For the best window film installed by the best team, Sundown is the place to go.
It was week 5 in high school, and week 5 is always traditionally a rivalry week. It's where most teams don't play their regional schedule. They step out of that. A lot of that going on in Alabama. Let's start with 5A. You see the top 10 there. We'll talk about 4 through 1. Beauregard did a great job. They beat Northview 42-6. Carroll with a win over W.S. Neal out of East Bruton, 26-13. St. Paul's was off, and Briarwood Christian gets win number 301 for Coach Fred Yancey as they beat Mortimer Jordan. Mortimer Jordan had in mind of upsetting them but couldn't do it, but they won 25-17. In Class 6A, another big week. Wetumpka continues to roll. They move on and play Pelham next week, but they won big this week, 51-14. Ramsey lost. They went to Grayson, Georgia. Grayson, Georgia, we all know, is a nationally ranked team. They lost 42-10, but Ramsey did a good job of going to Georgia and playing that game. Oxford beat Benjamin Russell 20-7, and Pinson Valley, without quarterback Bo Nix, who has a leg injury. He's sitting out for a little bit, but the backup quarterback came in, did a great job. They win in a thriller in overtime against Shades Valley, 28-27. And the number 1 team in the state in 6A, Austin, was off this week. They'll be back in action next week against Florence, which will be a big ball game up there in that part of the state. In 7A, there you see your top 10 as well. 10A, 10 through 1, we'll start there at number 4 with Hewitt-Trussville. They beat Centerpoint 59-0. Thompson, the game I attended this week was against Pelham, a rivalry game there. Thompson and Tagovailoa and company just put the hammer down. No way to say it. 51-21. Pelham stayed in it for a little bit, but could not handle the powerful offense of Mark Freeman and the Thompson Warriors. Hoover took an off week. They needed it too. They've been playing out of state and everywhere else for several weeks in a row. They will travel to Oak Mountain and play Oak Mountain. That game can be seen on the NFHS Network Live. And then the number 1 team in the state, Central Phoenix City, they beat Opelika 46-17. They play Enterprise this week, and that game can also be seen on the NFHS Network Live. So a little abbreviated high school segment because we want to tell you about our new segment we're very excited about. From time to time, we're going to bring Game Day Chef Marty Staples on and show his tips on tailgating. By the way, you'll be able to see these recipes on our Facebook page. So if you want to go to our Facebook page and like us there at Ask Game Day TV, that's our Facebook page. You'll be able to see these recipes in full, and believe me, Marty showing you some recipes is a big treat. So let's go now. By the way, it's the first time I ever hosted a cooking segment, so I apologize, folks. Here's our Game Day TV chef, Marty Staples. Hey, welcome into this exciting new segment here on Game Day TV. We've got the privilege of having Game Day Chef Marty Staples with us, and we're going to show you how to do a little bit of tailgating right here on Game Day TV. We're going to start with breakfast, but let me say before we start with breakfast, no breakfast is complete, guys, without sausage, right?
You've got to have it.
And that is Doremus Sausage. They're our sponsor on this tailgating segment, so pick up some Doremus sausage. We got it on your screen right there, how to go to their website. They'll ship it out. Best smoked sausage, Alabama-based company, been in Alabama for years and years, 3rd, 4th generation sausage company. Marty,
Good.
I know you went down, you're going to help them make some sausage.
I want to buy the sausage
That's
place,
right.
it's so good.
All right, well, Max got his Coach Get Back apron on now, so.
Listen, man, I was born to be Get Back.
That's right.
I'm going to put him to work early.
Go ahead, start
and I'm going to
him,
put you to work early.
I'm going to tell you what the Get Back coach means. Just all right, Marty, where do we start? But what are we going to make?
Well, first off, we're going to make our game day breakfast casserole.
Oh, man.
Really easy. I tried to do all these recipes as easy as we can get. Coach, I'll let you put 8 of these hash brown casseroles right down here in the bottom.
I believe we can do
Jerry, why don't you do me some eggs over here, 8 eggs.
In this bowl?
In that
You
bowl.
mean I got to crack them?
You got to crack them just like that.
Can I do them one-handed, or should you prefer me to?
Oh, get fancy.
Huh? No, I better not. Hey, by the way, folks, this is if you're tailgating. Say you got an 11 o'clock game and you want to tailgate and kind of impress your friends at the morning tailgate. This is recipe right here is for that morning tailgate. So we're going to make a breakfast casserole along with something else, I'm sure.
There we go.
All right, I got it. We'll throw eggshells right there.
That's it.
All right.
Now what we need to do is whisk it up a little bit. Let me grab my magic whisk down here.
Don't get the unmagic one.
There we go.
Can I whisk?
Whisk it away.
Look at this, y'all. Max, you got your hash browns ready over there?
Ready.
Okay.
I'm ready to pour.
Ready to pour.
we're going to take,
Man, this is a real whisk right
we're going to take some cheese.
Oh, man.
Put it right over the top. That'll be your 4 cups of cheese.
4 cups of cheese. By the way, folks, you want this recipe? We're going to post it on our Facebook page at Ask Game Day TV. Go to Facebook, like our page. All these recipes will be right there for you.
And we're going to add some Dorema sausage in here.
All
that
right.
would cook with a little bit of onion and a little bit of green chili, okay?
See, a lot of people want to know why, why I'm not doing the cooking. I'm the official taster when this thing's over.
Hey, let me tell you about
Look, everybody has to have a taster.
Well, that's true.
why has he got Coach Get Back? Because Max's ultimate, most sought-after job is to be the Get Back coach on the sideline.
That's right.
And
If
you get
don't know-
paid
and
for it.
now you get a penalty if you don't get back.
Oh,
And here we're going to
I gotta
add,
keep whisking.
we're going to add a little bit of milk and cream in there. Now we got that going.
Good thing I
We're
wore
going to
my
pour that right over our hash browns.
Pour it over this.
Pour
you wanna
it.
do it?
You do it.
Uh-oh.
I like you doing it.
Right here.
Right there, right
Pour it
over.
right here.
Right there.
Right in the middle.
Perfect.
Like that?
Absolutely perfect.
Did you go to school to learn that, Jerry?
All right.
Excuse me while I get us our aluminum foil.
I'm going to set this right down here.
We are going to wrap this. We've got our grill already preheated to about 350 degrees. We're going to put that in there, let it go for 50 minutes. Now, as soon as the 50 minutes is gone, we're going to take off the aluminum foil.
Yeah.
And guess what we're going to do?
We're going to eat it, I hope.
No, we're going to add a little bit more cheese
Oh, more
on
cheese.
it. You know, we
Everybody
got to
likes
have more cheese.
More cheese. Okay.
Okay.
Now, what are we going to do
Let's
next?
do some biscuits.
Oh, biscuits.
Because
Gotta
if
have
you got
biscuits
good
going with
sausage,
breakfast casserole.
Absolutely.
if you got good sausage, you need good
You gotta
biscuits.
have biscuits in the South.
So, what we want to start off with is we need 2 cups of flour.
2 cups of flour.
Now, the recipe I'm going to be showing you all, we'll do about 9 good-sized biscuits. So, we'll do...
So if you got 18
One.
people coming, you need to double it.
well,
Well, Max,
no,
We did 2.
at your house, we need to triple it.
That's true. That's true.
I know you went to school. Did you major in math?
Yes, I did. Yes, math and English.
Yeah.
Ain't that a good thing?
It's absolutely the
Okay.
best I've ever had.
Now, we're going to add a tablespoon of cornstarch and a tablespoon of baking powder and a teaspoon of salt. We're going to put that in there.
Okay.
Now I've got a half of a stick of butter that I've chopped up small and put in the freezer.
I didn't know you could chop up butter that small.
Yeah, you can. And you put that, that's the secret. That's what makes your biscuits
Okay.
poof. You know what poof is,
I
right?
got you. I got you.
Okay, now one of you all want to do this.
Hey, Max, that's work. You
What
gotta
we're going to
go.
do is we're going to use our pastry blender and we're just going to work that butter into the flour.
All right.
Work it into the flour. Hurry up, Max. I want some biscuits before
I'm
we get
ready.
through
We
here.
got to have some biscuits now.
All right, it's worked in.
Okay, it looks kind of like coarse cornmeal.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we want. And I just kind of do that like that a couple of times till you get them not. Then we're going to take our buttermilk
All right.
and we're going to put our buttermilk right here in the middle.
Can you imagine sitting out on the quad or something doing this? Of course, I mean, you're talking about impressing your folks.
Yes, of
I
course.
mean, you can impress them.
Well, unless your parents paid you to go to culinary school, and then you're becoming the game day chef.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, when I took piano lessons, my mom would always cry a little bit when I'd start to play the piano.
Yeah.
And I had a lady ask, "Is that why? Is because you play so good?" And I said, "No, it's all the money she spent." So what we're doing is we're just kind of mixing this batter. And this is, I know that you all are saying, no, there ain't no way he's going to get any biscuits out of
Now,
that.
here's what
But
the secret's
trust me,
gonna be.
You gonna get a biscuit out of that?
yes,
Cooking 'em,
sir.
But the secret is going to cook them on the grill.
I know, that's the main thing. This is all done at a tailgating segment.
So now what we're going to do is take a little bit of our flour. Sorry, Jerry.
Gotta hurry up, Marty. Of course,
Put flour over it.
Yeah.
Now, you see, I've kind of got my dough all gooey.
That's good. Nice.
That's what we want. And then we're just going to kind
Oh
of
wow, look at there. It's
bring it
coming together.
right over.
You knew that was going to do that the whole time, didn't you?
Now this is my secret.
Okay.
When you go to do biscuits,
Yeah.
I like to take them and you flip them right over. This is the way the French do puff pastry.
Oh.
This way you're assured to get a high biscuit.
All right.
Now when we get them down like that, sometimes I use a pin, sometimes I don't. Okay. Just depends. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cut those biscuits out.
Look at there.
And we're going to put them back here on our baking stone that we have, just like a pizza stone like you would use. We've got our oven turned up to about 400 degrees here, and we're going to let that go.
We kind of got it finished now, about ready to eat, but also we're going to have a French toast on the menu, so if you got time at your tailgate, you can always add the French toast.
Grilled French toast.
Oh yeah, and it's the recipe is on our Facebook page. Once again, go to Ask Game Day TV. The recipes will all be posted. Okay, what are we going to do with the biscuits?
And don't forget too, I've got my hot chocolate with the roasted marshmallows on there. What a way to start off a breakfast.
That's right. So if you're doing early game tailgating time, this is what you want to do. By the way, don't forget, Doremus Sausage is sponsoring this segment. We appreciate all the folks at Doremus for giving us their fine products and sponsoring this segment. Okay, whip us out a biscuit,
I'm going to show you all the way I do it, and then you all can do it any way you want to do it. But what I like to do is get my biscuit, pop open, get me a little butter.
Yeah, I like a lot of butter.
Put some butter on there.
Yeah.
Then, this is my little secret. I take some of this blue cheese.
I was about to say, it looks like blue cheese.
Yeah, or either some cream cheese that had stayed out a little too long.
Okay.
Then I march over here to the grill, get my fresh piece of grilled Doremus sausage.
Yeah.
Put it on there just like that. Then I take me a little bit of this strawberry.
Yeah.
And the strawberry, the sweet from the strawberry, and the pungency from the blue cheese, and the spiciness of the Doremus sausage.
A meal within itself.
It is. It makes it worth getting up in the morning.
Absolutely.
Can you imagine if you're doing your tailgate, folks coming by, you want to really impress them, you can go to our Facebook page, once again, get all these recipes from Chef Marty Staples. Well, Max, you want to dig in now? You about ready?
We got one more we got to get into.
Oh, breakfast casserole.
Absolutely.
Oh, wait a minute.
One thing you all didn't see was when after the 50 minutes was gone, we put another cup of cheese on top of it. What's better than another cup of cheese?
That's right.
And we're going to cut it into squares and serve it to everybody coming by our tailgate.
With the biscuits.
With the biscuits.
Hey, we'll see you soon on another edition of Tips on Tailgating right here on Game Day TV with head chef Marty Staples. He'll be doing some other segments throughout the year, so this is the one that we're doing in case you're going to an early tailgate. Thanks for watching, everyone. For Max Howell, Marty Staples, I'm Jerry Young. We'll see you soon on Game Day TV.
Sundown Tint is the only company in Central Alabama authorized to sell Autobond Super Optics nanotechnology window tint film. We are the best because we sell the best. With Hooper Optic, you get the first patented nano ceramic window film with 3 times more infrared rejection. It's 25 times more durable than competing films and 13 degrees cooler. This cutting-edge technology provides remarkable performance and cool European styling, and you can only get it at Sundown Tint in Hoover. For the best window film installed by the best team, Sundown is the place to go.
Sportsmanship is the educational component derived from athletic contest. In sportsmanship enhances the character of student athletes because of the impact of the leaders of each sports team. Those leaders help develop the character of those student athletes to be displayed in times of adversity.
Since we had 4 named hurricanes during the month of September, we sure hope October is way less eventful. Typically, October is dry and beautiful. I consider it one of those months that you don't want it to end because the weather is as close to perfect as it can get in Sweet Home, Alabama. We have yet to see if that's going to be the case this year, but there's high hopes of beautiful fall days and gorgeous colors all around as the leaves start to change. Friday night across Alabama should be uneventful. with only a 10% chance of rain anywhere you travel in the state, and the lows dipping into the 60s. Should be a great night for football. On Saturday, we'll have sunny weather in Alabama, so if you're headed to a game or pumpkin patch, you should have great weather. UAB will celebrate homecoming at Legion Field with a high of 85 and the lows in the 60s. Rain chances are only 10% so far. Auburn is at home with sunny weather reaching into the 80s and the lows in the 60s. Still, you guessed it, only 10% chance of rain. Alabama's game day weather mixes things up just a little as they head to College Station, Texas. The rain chances move up to 20%, but the weather stays in the 80s for a high, but will only dip down into the 70s for the lows. The one must-have for any games this weekend are sunglasses. The UV ray index is high for Saturday, so don't forget your shades. That does it for this week's Game Day TV weather. Let's get back to Max and Jerry.
Well, you saw Marty Staples do his tips on tailgating. You just saw Kim Shera do your game day weather for this weekend. Max, it's time to wrap up the SEC now, and we're going to get into what's for supper. Of course, this has been a food show, hasn't it?
Well, it is. Well, you know,
we went to family reunion yesterday. I know I touched on that, but I want to say all of them's name. But Sarah and Marjorie and Linda and Philip and all those people down there and Boodler, we got,
Well, here's the thing. Of course, I didn't know any of those. I appreciate the invitation. Right. But one thing I do understand is eating.
That's right. Fried okra and pinto beans.
Man, I'm telling you
fried chicken.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
let's get back to the SEC, and then we're going to talk about
I'm going to start from the bottom up this week.
Okay.
A while ago, we got through several of the ball games, but we didn't talk about Missouri going to Kentucky. I think that's another Kentucky win. My concept right now about Missouri, I do think I think there'll be a change there. He's another one that came up through the ranks at Missouri, but the fact is he's not been able to maintain that as a head coaching job. He did a great job coaching the defense. Remember the first 2 years Missouri was in the conference, they went to Atlanta to represent the East. That's a long time ago. I don't see that happening. I like Kentucky to win that one right now. Then the next one is Arkansas and South Carolina. We did touch a little bit about that. If Arkansas goes to Columbia and gets beat, which I think they probably will, I think the fact is that the last nail in Brett Bielema's coffin will be hammered in. I think it's that tedious right now of all the conflict that's going on internally with the athletic director and all the information coming out, and there's some financial concerns over there about where the money's being spent. So I like South Carolina in that one. It's going to be a tough go for Arkansas to get there. Then you got Georgia going to Vanderbilt. We touched on that just a moment ago.
Right.
Georgia's going to bring a huge crowd. I mean, they've gotten there where they travel much like some other teams in this conference. And they actually go to Nashville to play Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt will give them a tough ball game physically to start, but Georgia's defense is really good. They're getting as close to what Alabama we see with Alabama. Not there yet, but they're approaching that level. Vanderbilt doesn't have enough talent to stay on the field. Georgia comes away with a 2 or 3 touchdown win, I think, in that one. Then you got LSU going to Florida.
Yeah.
Guys, we don't know which LSU team's going to show up down there. I'll be honest with you. I think Ed Orgeron has got really internal problems with communication. I think with the staff and with the team itself. And as I told you, I talked with a couple of guys down there on a somewhat similar and regular basis, and they say the way practice goes in the week is no resemblance to the way they play on Saturday. Well, you got a bad conflict going on when they practice hard. And here's what one of my favorites said: you practice like Tarzan, you play like James.
Right.
That's a.
Well, you and I used to do a radio show in Birmingham.
Yes.
And that was back when Chiswick was there.
Exactly right.
And Chiswick would come out every week talking about how great the practices were, and then they lose on Saturday.
Same concept.
Same thing.
Same concept. Anyway, I do think Florida gets a win on that one. Ole Miss goes to Auburn. What can we say? They get hammered 66-3, and it wasn't pretty at all. Look. Right from the first, it wasn't a pretty game. But Ole Miss is going to run into a buzzsaw at Auburn. Auburn probably is playing as well as they've played all year long. They're going to throw the same kind of defense at them that Alabama's thrown. I think Auburn wins that one hands down. Alabama, we've already touched on, goes to Texas A&M. A&M has got a great chance. They're 4-1 right now. They can't beat Alabama. They aren't. They don't
One thing's for sure: the state of Alabama is holding up the SEC with Alabama.
I don't think there's any doubt about
right
that.
now, and you got to give Georgia some credit too. Okay, Max. What's for supper?
Oh, man.
We talked about squirrel and fried okra and everything else on this. And Marty came in and did some great recipes, but now, what's for supper?
Well, you know what? I don't want to even get into where I had to go Saturday, basically to do what I did with my hunting friends. But when I made my what's for supper list this week, I reverted back to my chicken quarters, and I love chicken quarters. You and I have done this before, and I marinate that with an Italian dressing. It's got oil in her, but every time I turn them over, I baste them down to keep it moisture in the meat. On the side, we had potato salad, coleslaw, just kind of traditional to do that. Now, I'd always do my Texas toast on the fryer with garlic and butter. Flip it a couple of times. It's crusty around the edge and soggy in the middle. Can't beat that. For dessert, I keep going back. There's about 3 that I love, and I keep rotating those. But I do a Mississippi mud pie. Now, Jerry, you would love it. It's about 2-inch thick brownie with about 1 inch of chocolate syrup, and I sprinkle that with pecans and whipped cream.
I got to get us out of here, man.
And then I wash all that down with a big old pitcher of sweet ice cream.
Thanks for watching Game Day TV. Follow us on Facebook at Ask Game Day TV. Thanks to Doremus Sausage and all the folks that help sponsor this show. We'll see you next week right here on Game Day TV.